am so sick of talking about this.
You say deplorable, I say adorable. For answers, I'm your sorter. Ask a Trump supporter.
Okay, so what I'm sick of talking about is this whole Trump called neo-Nazis very fine people nonsense. Joe Biden decided to drag this one up out of the sewer, or I should probably say it was Joe Biden's team that decided to drag this nonsense back up out of the sewer again, because Joe Biden doesn't really make any decisions anymore.
You're a lying dog-faced pony soldier.
So, because they've decided to rehash this old nonsense, I have a question here today from Clorox Bleach 1172. Clorox Bleach 1172 asks, how can you support Trump if he calls neo-Nazis very fine people? Thank you for your question. The answer is President Trump never called neo-Nazis very fine people, and the Democrats just won't let this one go because they think that people are stupid and that the internet doesn't exist.
Play the radio. Make sure make sure you have the record player on at night.
For the last time, there were 4 groups in Charlottesville. There were 2 peaceful groups. One group was for keeping the Confederate statue of Robert E. Lee, and then you had another group that was against keeping the statue of Robert E. Lee. Then there were 2 groups of violent morons, Antifa on one side, and then the neo-Nazis on the other side. The violent idiots came there looking for a fight, and they got exactly what they were looking for. The peaceful people should have just gotten the heck out of there and let the violent idiots kill each other. But unfortunately, that is not what happened, and an innocent young woman by the name of Heather Heyer lost her life when she was mowed down by a piece of crap racist. President Trump gave a very rousing and beautiful speech where he condemned racists and racism no less than 10 times. And when he said there were very fine people on both sides, he followed it up by saying he was not talking about the neo-Nazis because they should be condemned totally. But the fake news media cut that part off. The New York Times even interviewed a woman by the name of Michelle Piercy, a night shift worker in a retirement home that showed up to oppose the removal of the statue. And she was quoted as saying that good people can go to Charlottesville. And after listening to President Trump's speech, she said it was as if he had channeled her and her friends, who had no interest in standing with Nazis or white supremacists. So, of course, the left went after Michelle Piercy and tried to prove that she was a racist. And when they couldn't do that, they condemned her for liking a conservative militia group. And then they said, see, she likes a militia group. So there were no good people on either side. And so President Trump's a racist. Yeah. So how about you just listen to what he said for yourself and then compare that to how the fake news media portrayed his actual words.
The president is not messing up here. He did not trip and accidentally praise white supremacists and neo-Nazis and pro-Confederate demonstrators who actually killed somebody this weekend.
We also learned today that the president continues to believe, against all the evidence, that there were very fine people on both sides. He's trying to gaslight us again, asking us to believe something contrary to what you and I and everybody can see with our own ears.
We condemn in the strongest possible terms this egregious display of hatred, bigotry, and violence. It has no place in America. The driver of the car is a disgrace to himself, his family, and this country. The driver of the car is a murderer, and what he did was a horrible, horrible, inexcusable thing. You had a group on one side that was bad, and you had a group on the other side that was also very violent. I've condemned neo-Nazis. I've condemned many different groups. Following day, it looked like they had some rough, bad people, neo-Nazis, white nationalists, whatever you want to call them. And you had some very bad people in that group. but you also had people that were very fine people on both sides. You had people in that group, excuse me, I saw the same pictures as you did. You had people in that group that were there to protest the taking down of, to them, a very, very important statue and the renaming of a park from Robert E. Lee to another name.
Robert E. Lee are not the same.
No, George Washington was a slave owner. Was George Washington a slave owner? So will George Washington now lose his status? And you had people, and I'm not talking about the neo-Nazis and the white nationalists, because they should be condemned totally. But you had many people in that group other than neo-Nazis and white nationalists, okay? And the press has treated them absolutely unfairly. Now, in the other group also, you had some fine people, but you also had troublemakers, and you see them come with the black outfits and with the helmets and with the baseball bats. You had a lot of bad people in the other group too. You had a group on one side and you had a group on the other, and they came at each other with clubs, and it was vicious and it was horrible. I thought what took place was a horrible moment for our country.
This isn't the first time that they've lied about what he said, and it's definitely not the last time that they will lie about what he says. I'm not a fan of Confederate statues personally, but I do hang out with a lot of historical reenactors. And some of them have tried to recruit me into doing the Civil War reenactment. But I just didn't want to hang out with people who were wearing Confederate... I just don't want to hang out with people dressed as Confederate soldiers, even if there are Union soldiers there too. But that's my personal choice. Yes, there are racists that want to keep Confederate statues, but there are also historical enthusiasts and all kinds of people in between. I think it's best to just let the locals who live there vote on what they do and don't want in their communities. This whole nonsense about President Trump praising neo-Nazis is a dead cat. It's time to stop playing with it and bury it.
Hey guys, thanks for watching. If you like this video, subscribe, give it a thumbs up, and please share it. You can help us continue to fight in the war against disinformation by donating at paypal.me/rightleftofcenter and at subscribestar.com/rightleftofcenter. I'm Right from Right Left of Center, and if you're watching, you're probably right too.